everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Triple P with me, Surya Sridhar. Now, for all of you Game of Thrones fans out there, I have a very special episode in store for you all. I'm going to take you guys through a virtual walking tour of all the major filming locations right here in Dubrovnik, Croatia. So if you guys are ready, I am. Let's go. Okay guys, do you remember in season 4 episode 8 the epic battle scene between Oberyn and the Mountain? Guess where it was filmed? Right here at the Hotel Belvedere. Now this hotel is actually a luxury hotel abandoned in 1991 after the Serbian-Croatian War of Independence. Let's go check it out. Okay guys, so we just finished checking out the Hotel Belvedere and we actually hitchhiked to the old town in Dubrovnik. Now no, I don't recommend you guys hitchhiking normally or anything, but it's only a 30-minute walk, so don't worry, or around a 5 to 8 minute Uber ride, which is highly recommended in the city. And when we came here, we actually stopped by the tourist office to pick up our Dubrovnik city cards. We bought them online, which is highly recommended because it is 10% off. And we're gonna head on over to the Pille Bay. Let's go. Okay guys, so we just made our way down to the Pille Bay. In Game of Thrones, this was actually called Blackwater Bay. And there are 3 important sites here. 1, the cliffside staircases. So do you remember in season 2 episode 1 when King Joffrey orders the gold cloaks to kill all of King Baratheon's sons, bastard sons? This was filmed here. Okay guys, so now the second most important place is the jetty, and this is exactly where in season 3 episode 1 Sansa and Shae are sitting there playing their guessing game with the ships in terms of where they're heading to, and it's also where Littlefinger comes and talks to Sansa about getting her out of King's Landing.
He's going to stay in Dorne. Wait out the winter where it's beautiful and warm. You've got to invent a story about where the ship is going and why.
When I set sail, I might be able to take you with me, but you'll need to be ready to leave on a moment's notice.
Okay guys, now it brings us to number 3. The most important place is the Pebble Shoreline, where in season 2 episode 6 of Game of Thrones we see the Lannisters send off Myrcella to Dorne.
Princess on her journey. May the Mother give her health. May the Crone give her wisdom. And the Crone foretold that she would bear the king or
Okay guys, after walking 200 stairs up, we have finally made it to Fort Lovrinas. And this is the place where Cersei and Littlefinger in season 2 episode 1 have a little encounter and talk about finding Arya Stark. As well as that, they have a little bit of a verbal dispute in which, you know, he says knowledge is power after of course finding out that, you know, she's sleeping with her brother, and she basically replies saying power is power. Do you remember that?
And which truth is that?
Knowledge is power.
Seize him. Cut his throat. Stop. Wait. I've changed my mind. Let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Close your eyes. Power is power.
Okay guys, we've just come to the top floor of the Fort Lovrinas, and you won't believe what an incredible sight there is to behold of the city. So highly recommended for that, and also because it has some significance in Game of Thrones. In season 2 episode 1, they shot King Joffrey's name day tournament, and it was right here at the Fort Lovrinas.
Struck.
Okay guys, so we've just come from Pille Bay through Pille Gate into this long corridor. Now you might remember it from season 2 episode 6 when the Lannisters had dropped off Marcella to Dorne, and they'd come back and they found themselves in the middle of a riot, and all these people were throwing fruits and everything at King Joffrey. That's exactly where they filmed this place. Let's check it out.
Hail to the king! 7 blessings on you, your grace.
Let your grace, please!
Okay guys, so now we remember in Game of Thrones, Littlefinger's infamous brothel. All the exterior scenes were taken right here outside the Ethnographic Museum. We also see it in season 4 episode 1 where Tyrion comes to talk to Oberyn about his true intentions at the grand wedding. As well as that in season 5 episode 3 when Lancel Lannister parades the High Septon naked around town. Let's check it out.
What are you doing?
Thrones, one of the most important filming locations was right here at the Jesuit Staircase. And you might remember in season 5, there are a couple of scenes when Cersei comes for Tywin's funeral. She walks into the Great Sept. When Tommen comes trying to find the High Septon. When Cersei comes for Marjorie's wedding. And the most important scene, I would say, out of the whole season was when she does the Walk of Shame. Now, I'll tell you guys a really interesting fact. You see the houses and the shops behind you. Over there, actually, they had to pay off all the businesses during the shooting, and as well as that, they had to pay the people over here for privacy concerns so that they don't stick their heads out of their windows. So, just a really fun fact, but a very important place for Game of Thrones, definitely.
A sinner comes before you. Cersei of House Lannister, to make her walk of atonement.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Okay guys, so we've just made our way from the Jesuit Staircase to the Rector's Palace in Dubrovnik. Now the Rector's Palace is actually the Spice King in Quartz palace in Game of Thrones. And I'm actually standing in the exact spot where Daenerys stood asking the Spice King of Qarth for his ships to cross the Narrow Sea. Let's check out the scene.
He shouldn't make me wait.
The Spice King is the second wealthiest man in Qarth.
So, my little princess, what is it you want?
My birthright. The 7 kingdoms of Westeros.
I fear I'm no better than a servant in this regard. I cannot give you what I do not have.
I'm not asking you for the kingdoms. I'm asking you for ships. I need to cross the Narrow Sea.
I need my ships as well.
Okay guys, so we've just finished checking out the Rector's Palace and we've walked over to the St. Dominica Street. Now some of you might remember in Season 2, Episode 5 of Game of Thrones, Tyrion and Bronn are walking down the market when they stumble upon this protester who's basically questioning the Lannister authority. You know, he's saying that King Joffrey is super corrupt and of course making these accusations that Jaime and Cersei are having an affair, which we all know is true. So let's check out the scene.
Yes! We are swollen, bloated, foul. Brother fornicates with sister in the bed of kings. And we're surprised when the fruit of the incest is rotten? Yes, a rotten king.
It's hard to argue with his assessment.
Okay guys, so right now I'm standing underneath the Revelin Fortress as well as close to the Ploche Gate. Now it's very significant for two reasons. One, at the end of season 5, when Cersei ends her walk of shame, she basically comes through the Ploche Gates. And secondly, underneath the Revelin Fortress is where in season 2 episode 5, Tyrion talks to Lancel Lannister trying to find out what Cersei's war plans are. Let's check out that scene.
They have thousands of pots already stored in their vaults. They are planning to launch it from the city walls into Stannis' ships and armies. Please.
Remember in Game of Thrones season 2 episode 10, Daenerys can't find her dragons and she goes looking at the House of the Undying. That's where we are right now. We've actually climbed up the city walls. We've come to the Minchetta Tower, and this is exactly where the exteriors of the House of the Undying was filmed.
Is this a riddle?
Okay guys, so around 1 minute away from the Minchetta Tower, you'll come to this clearing which is above the practice fields in Game of Thrones. So in season 4 episode 7, you'll actually find Cersei walk towards the mountain and sort of have a discussion with him before his big match with Oberyn, as well as in season 5 episode 4 when Loras is captured by the Faith militants. Now, even though we can't actually go to the fields as it's out of bounds, we can get a pretty good view from up here.
Sir Gregor, welcome to the capital. Thank you for riding here so quickly.
Get your hands off me! Sir Loras of House Tyrell, you have broken the laws of gods and men.
Okay guys, so we're hitting the last stop on our Game of Thrones walking tour. We're right now at the Bolcar Fortress. It was used in season 2 episode 8 when Lord Varys and Tyrion are discussing their strategies on war against Stannis. It was also used in season 7 episode 1 when Cersei and Jaime are watching the Iron Fleet come into King's Landing.
A most high-born plumber.
The water never flowed better. And all the shit found its way to the sea.
The Greyjoys. You invited the Greyjoys to King's Landing.
Not all of them.
Well, looks like all of them.
I invited Euron Greyjoy, the new king of the Iron Islands. You said yourself we needed stronger, better allies. There you are.
Okay guys, that takes us to the end of the video. I really had so much fun taking you guys through this virtual tour through Dubrovnik. I really hope you enjoyed it as well, and if you did, please click on the like and subscribe buttons below, and of course don't forget the bell icon to stay notified of more videos coming up. See you guys next time.